Hey everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. This is Dorothy, and
Hi, this is Joy inside and Dorothy outside.
welcome to Little Drops of Wellness Wisdom. Yep, I here I am outside. I, I'm in Massachusetts. It's been a long, hard winter, and today was just too nice to be inside. So here I am, enjoying the blue sky.
And the sound is
So
great. We can hear you just fine.
fantastic. And yeah, so I'm getting my vitamin D, getting my fresh air for the first time, it seems like in 10 years, but
Mhm.
I know it hasn't been quite that long. So here we are. So welcome back to our podcast. We hope you're enjoying what you're learning here. And on that note of what you're learning here, I just wanted to reiterate something that we have put in our notes that this is not this is just for fun and some mild education. I would encourage you not to use what we say as a paradigm for how you should eat. If you're looking to make some nutritional changes, amazing. I know so many Americans do not make the best nutritional choices, and that's not their fault. And if you learn something here that can help you, that's great. But I highly advise you to if you're wanting to make some big changes in your nutrition, is to see a coach. Do it with somebody who has some experience to help guide you through your choices so that you have a good experience. It's not just about learning things or making mistakes. It's if the more you know and the more you work with somebody who can help you personally, the better experience you're going to have and you will want to continue with your journey. If you just try and make some choices on your own, you may stumble and fall and you'll say, oh, this isn't for me, and you'll just give up. So I highly recommend that you enjoy and listen to whatever we have to say, but hire a coach to help you through your own journey. So that being said, we're going to talk about two of the ones, I don't know if they're most popular or not. I haven't done any like market research or anything, but the ones I see out there a lot. First, we're going to talk about the carnivore diet.
Dorothy, real quick, where would someone find a nutrition coach or a health coach if they don't know where to begin? Where would you think? Do people do it online or is it?
You can do it online again, like just as with anything else these days, the information that you get online is hit or miss. You know,
Oh, I
you might,
meant like a video chat with someone like you or
right, but I'm like where you would find one. So you could Google like nutrition coaches near me and you don't know who you're going to find. So you could try that.
yeah.
Or your local gym will probably have some resources. Your doctor may or may not have some, particularly if you go to a more naturopathic type of doctor, they might have some nutrition coaches that could help guide you. You can always reach out to me. I'm here. I personally prefer a personal recommendation rather than just kind of Googling. So I would go to a resource such as a doctor or a gym or somebody that might actually have some local resources for you.
The chiropractor I work with actually does it too.
A chiropractor is another excellent
I think a
choice
lot
for
of
resources.
chiropractors have certifications. They just have whole body knowledge, so they're good.
Yes, they do. And if they don't themselves, if they don't feel comfortable themselves, they will often have a referral for
Yes.
that too. So yes, that's a very good choice.
So carnivore diet, I just wanted to ask the Google this just to get the description right. Very restrictive diet, all animal eating plan that eliminates all plant-based foods, meaning like
Plants.
plants, focusing exclusively on meat, fish, eggs, small amount of low lactose dairy. People that really love it claim that it helps with weight loss, and I have an example of that, of someone I know who lost weight with it, and can maybe even improve mental clarity, reduce inflammation. But because you're not getting some of the other essential nutrients and fiber, it could be risky, so and could stress your kidneys. I do have a friend that was struggling with like some weight, some excess weight in the front, pretty much on the belly, that he wanted to get rid of, and the carnivore plan worked for him. It's not something you'd want to stick with, I don't think, for long. And I know of that case, and I know of one other case where a woman she was battling just a lot of candida in her system. So she just needed to shift her mindset and try something that would get her off any of the things that would trigger the candida growth. So it worked for her temporarily, but I'm sure Dorothy, I don't know if you've ever recommended it. Is it something you'd ever recommend?
I
And
would never ever recommend carnivore. So here's for me, and I'm kind of a what does nature tell me person, and human beings are not carnivores. We are not and have never been carnivores. Look at our teeth, look at our gastrointestinal system, look at our vision, hearing. There's nothing about humans that say we are exclusively carnivorous. Even dogs, look at your dog, and most dogs aren't really the original kind of dog. Look at a wolf, say, and
Yeah.
look at their teeth and their huge tearing canines, and their vision is acute. Their sense of smell is beyond anything, and they are omnivores.
Sure. Good point.
So they are obviously designed to eat more meat than we are because of if you look at their physiology, yet they are still omnivores. The only obligate carnivore that I'm aware of is the felines. The cats are carnivores. So for me, the carnivore is, we're not carnivores, we're opportunistic omnivores, and we eat what's available, meat, plants, tubers, whatever we can find. Back in our paleo days, our Paleolithic, our, original ancestors, they would go out and maybe have a successful hunt. I don't know. I don't know how often. I'm going to guess couple, every other week or so. And weeks were not a thing back then. But anyway, they would occasionally go out and be successful and bring down a big meat animal.
So they're not eating a
Probably
piece of
eat,
meat every day.
and they'd eat a meat lot, then until it went bad.
Yeah.
The rest of the time they were eating what they could forage.
Right.
We just don't have the intestinal fortitude to eat a lot of meat. People say, well, there's nothing in the human physiology that requires carbohydrates. I'm like, well, that may or may not be true. I'm not enough of a scientist to know the answer to that, but I can tell you that the trillions of microbes that live in our gut absolutely require vegetable matter.
Hmm.
They're the ones that they eat their vegetable matter, they digest it, they take the pieces and send them where they need to go. They produce the short chain fatty acids like butyrate, things like that. Without the vegetable matter, I mean, people think of fiber. We've been kind of trained to think of fiber as like Metamucil and this big bolus of psyllium husk that's going to move your bowels. And that's not really what the fiber you're eating is for. Will it help with regularity? Sure, but not necessarily just because it's fiber, but just because it's feeding your microbiome and keeping it healthy and smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, we in last season we talked a little bit about poop, but just to kind of revisit that a little bit, it's you want to have your nice, smooth, easy poop. The fiber does that not so much because it's fiber, but because it's feeding the health of your gut. And that's what's going to create an easy poop. So for me, that's where the real key importance of the vegetable matter comes in, is it's feeding your microbes, which are feeding the rest of your body. There are more of them than there are human cells.
That's
So
why
there are trillions of
before
them.
we,
And
yeah.
yeah, so for me, my thoughts on people that have had success with it, and I'm certainly not discounting their success. And if it worked for them and they had no ill effects, that's awesome. If you want to try it again, I wouldn't suggest trying it alone, but that's your choice. I would need to know what they stopped eating.
Yeah.
So for these people who like candida or even the belly fat, when you're eating only meat, that excludes all of these inflammatory ultra processed foods or even grains, like, but it might not even be ultra processed, but the grains can be highly inflammatory for people. So maybe when they started eating exclusively meat, they stopped eating these inflammatory, sugar producing, candida supporting foods.
Yeah.
So in order for me to consider the carnivore diet a success, I would need to know what they were eating before.
I
So
think
were they eating actually really good food? Were they eating like homegrown sprouts and regenerative meat and like maybe organic sweet potatoes? Were they eating all the right things and still not feeling well? And were they only eating 2 or 3 times a day and they're still overweight or not feeling well? Come talk to me. I'd love to hear your story, because I'm not sure that that's, I mean, who am I to say it's never happened? But I have a sense that my feeling is that most people who are successful on carnivore, they're successful because of what they stopped eating rather than what they started eating.
that's a
My 2 cents, I don't know, I might be way off base, but that's how I see it. I would rather know what people stopped eating than what they started eating in order to consider what they're doing a success.
good.
So, and the fact that the physiological fact that humans are not carnivores leads, and there are like, as the same with vegans and vegetarians, there are certain vitamins and minerals that are exclusively in meat. There are also many, many things that are exclusively in vegetables that humans really do need, that they thrive on, that they can't thrive without. So I am not personally a supporter of carnivore. If you've tried it and it works for you, that's fantastic. But again, like Joy had mentioned before, I would be wary of doing it long term. You might want to consider just short term until you've reached whatever goal you're striving for, and then start to think about adding some more real foods. Don't, not not going back to your ultra processed food if that's what you're eating, but kind of adding in some more real foods. But that's my thoughts on carnivore. Joy, anything to add to that?
No, I think that sums it up because that is part of it, and sometimes that can work in your favor. If you need a carnivore diet or some other diet to get you off of the things that are causing your inflammation or causing your candida or causing whatever, then great, try it, but just do it temporarily because it might bring on other issues, digestive issues that are going to be uncomfortable. So, well said.
Yeah, I know for me personally, and this is what I think we're going to talk about next, and I'll hand it over to you, Joy. I know this is again a long, long 20 years ago, I think. Back when I was a fitness instructor and trying all the new diets, I did keto for a little while, and I know for me personally, talk about poop, I didn't. It was
Oh no.
so that was not for me. So yeah, so I that's why I do think it's important to make sure that you pay attention to what your body is telling you, no matter what you're eating. We're always in such a hurry. Joy and I were talking off camera a little bit about this, where our society's in such a hurry to get the things done, to get to the places, to do the things that we don't take the time to be mindful about what we're eating and what we're perusing and the things that we're doing. And so we've kind of lost touch with this the things our body is telling us, and our body is always talking to us, but we have to stop and listen.
Mhm.
So I think whenever you endeavor to take on a new nutritional plan, I think it's also important to bring in that sense of mindfulness. And if you add in a new food or take out a new food, pay attention to what your body's telling you. Do you feel suddenly is that 3 a.m. slump gone, or are you getting a little clogged up down there, or
Yeah,
skin breakout? Just pay attention to the signals that your body's giving you that yes, this is great, or let's rethink this.
yeah.
So I think the mindfulness portion is important in any new nutrition endeavor. So I think that that's something to not discount when you're making healthier choices. So now we will talk about keto. I'm going to hand this one over to Joy, and this is Joy and I agree on many, 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 many things. And I don't necessarily disagree with her about this, but I do have some differing thoughts on the whole keto situation. But she's much more well-versed in the keto and she uses it in her clinic. So I will let her speak to you about keto.
Yes. So keto, first of all, is ketogenic or keto is what we usually call it. It's high fat, low carbohydrate eating, meaning you're doing a lot of the meat products and you want to do grass fed as much as possible, the good quality meat and like avocados and things that are have healthy fats. But you instead of burning glucose for fuel, you're burning the fat for fuel, is how it works in your body. And this is where I don't fully buy into the whole plan, is when you have to start measuring your carbs per day. Dorothy and I talked in the previous episode about combining measuring and math when you're trying to enjoy food is just takes the fun out of eating. I mean, eating should be sort of done in a wise way. It's not always about overdoing and over and having like giant, fun, beautiful meals all the time, but it can help people manage their weight, improve their blood sugar, and increase your satiety. So you're satisfied with how you're eating. Where it comes in handy in the practice I work in, where Dr. Ali coaches a lot of patients into a healthier lifestyle, is the people that are just stuck and they really are way removed from what real food is. Dorothy and I will agree on just eat real food, but you can say that to somebody and they still don't know what that means. They don't understand what real food is because they're so far removed, whether they're following the standard American diet or any kind of food plan, or we talked off camera about a nurse talking about her breakfast every day, and it didn't really consist of real food. So there's people that talk about food, maybe even your own doctor, who most doctors are not trained in nutrition or food. They might tell you to go ahead and eat rice and beans every meal and, high kind of those high carby things, and that's not going to work for most bodies. It's going to increase your sugars if you're trying to lower your sugars. We have a lot of people that come into Dr. Ali's practice that again they don't know what real food is and they just really need a kick in the pants. So the keto way of eating can get them kind of onto that real food mentality. We have these like shopping lists of how to go shopping for keto. It's real food, leafy greens, avocados, peppers, cabbage, there's so many people that I've met that never eat salad. They don't know what that is. They just don't, they're too lazy about making a salad, things like that. So that's why I'm in favor of keto because it kind of simplifies the real food mindset. We don't overemphasize the counting of carbs. We just try to get them onto that real food mindset and away from things like people are shocked and surprised when we talk about you really shouldn't. Most people, again, we're not here to say how to everyone should eat, but most people don't benefit from eating a big bowl of oatmeal every morning for breakfast. That doesn't do good things in your body, but we've all learned from marketing and good advertising that that's that's a good way to start your day. Well, it doesn't feed the body the way it needs to feed the body. So you if you can kind of get into a new eating pattern with knowing what real foods are, you can reduce your brain fog, you can have more energy, and just not even want to snack as much, if snacking is a problem for you. So there's definitely benefits, I think, to the keto plan just because it gives people a plan where they didn't really like again, they don't know what they don't know often. So I've seen patients that they go to McDonald's every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and it tastes good, so they think it's fine, or maybe it's labeled low fat, so that to them thinks means it's fine, or it's labeled diet, I'll have a Diet Coke with that, so that seems okay, but it's really not.
True. And there are many things about keto I would not disagree with. And I know therapeutically, in certain cases, I think we mentioned this last time, like decades ago, they used ketogenic diets with children with epilepsy and any of these like Parkinson's and things like that can really benefit from a very high fat diet. A lot of healthy fats, like you mentioned, avocados, olives, olive oil, things like that. So I'm certainly not discounting the efficacy to a certain degree of the ketogenic plan. But here's my problem, and this is the same for most anything. First of all, they talk about carbs, but again, vegetables are carbs. So I think when you start talking about carbs as the bad thing, it can, even if you give them a list, people start to count their carbs, and vegetables are carbs, so they get afraid of vegetables when vegetables are really so good for you. So I don't like that they actually break down these macronutrients when all you just really carbs are not the enemy unless it's a donut or a muffin
It,
or or like Captain Crunch.
right,
Those are the
that's
carbs,
people,
your
that's
bread, your Subway sandwich, whatever it is,
sure.
those are the
Yeah,
carbs that people are, your big pasta dinner or even your oatmeal, which is even a more natural food, but still. So these are the carbs that one needs to be mindful of. So to lump all those in with vegetables and just carbs and that's where I think to stop categorizing your food as a macronutrient. I have
sure.
a problem with that
And
rather than just talking about food.
I do think most people that we're working with here are the Krispy Kreme or the Captain Crunch people. So we sort of lump that in as the bad carbs. And then the list that we produce for them will talk about like there are vegetables really on keto. You shouldn't have carrots and corn and
Well, nobody should have corn.
potatoes.
Corn is not a vegetable, it's actually grass seed.
Yeah.
Do you want to eat grass seed? No.
So we point them towards the leafy greens and things like that. Again, it's more about the mindset, as you mentioned earlier in this podcast, the getting away from the junk food. And like you said too, and it's a good point. These ways of eating can really work for people, but it's a lot of it is about what you stopped eating that is making the big difference in your life. So I just think this kind of helps do that. It helps you kind of get off some of those things that are just tempting and bad for you. The candy, the donuts, the things, the sweet cereals and stuff.
Yeah, and yes, it can, but and I'll speak to that in just a moment. But I wanted to say that also, and I've experienced this with some of my people that have come to me after this. But if you have like, so somebody comes to you and they're on the standard American diet, they're sick, they're not feeling well. You help them get on this keto, clean up their nutrition, they start to feel great. There's that fear of eating any other way. It's like, oh, if I eat any other way, I'm going to go back to being sick. So they get mired in this dogma of I can only eat keto to be healthy. And for me, and I've had people come to me that are still like starting to not feel good again, but so afraid to get off the keto or whatever they're eating because that's what made them feel bad. So having that dogma around what they eat again for me can be a problem. And in terms of giving them a framework for me, if you can give someone a framework for keto and here's your shopping list and here's what you eat and don't eat, why not just start them right off the bat? Here's your shopping list of real food. Here's your framework for eating
True.
just real food.
Yeah.
I mean, why start them on keto when you could just, because the key for keto is is the high fat, and it's a really the emphasis on fat. And don't get me wrong, this low fat craze that we went through was a nightmare, and anybody that still worries about fat in their food needs to really do some research, because fat is our friend. Our brain needs fat. We need fat in our diet, as long as it's a healthy fat and not something that's been hydrogenated or some of these other, the the seed oils that have been highly processed and chemicals used, all these things. So you want to be aware of the quality of the fat you're eating, and also be aware that like us and all animals, we store our toxins in our fat, which is why it's so important to eat a quality meat, because then you can be a little bit more assured that the fat you're eating isn't full of toxins.
Yeah.
So unless you're a, vegetarian and you're getting all your fat from like avocados and olives and things like that, then you have less to worry about. But if you're eating meat, you need to be aware that the fat you're eating may contain a lot of toxins, because that's where mammals store toxins, is in their fat cells. So, so yeah, for me, it's more about let's get away from the dogma. Let's just learn about eating the foods that nature intended us to eat. And we can give a framework for that, the same as we can for
True.
keto.
Very
Here's
true.
your real food shopping list. I really would urge you to seek a coach or seek some one-on-one counseling so that you don't fail. Because we don't want you to fail, because then you go back and to eat the things that aren't conducive to your health. We want you to be successful. And some people can be successful on their own, others can't. So if you're struggling, don't give up. Just find somebody to help you. And I think that's most important. Whatever nutrition plan you choose one that makes you feel good, that you can stick to. And for me, it's the eat real food paradigm. Is
Yeah.
it can cover any basis at all. It can cover any potential diet plan that you want. Just eat real food
Real food,
is
and
kind of,
it's good. Like people that don't really know what that means might think, oh, isn't it mean I have to just eat kale and you know, but
no.
there's so many good foods. It's you'll find how delicious it is.
Yeah, yeah, a little personal story anecdote here. This was again 25 plus years ago, probably. And this was back when I was a fitness instructor, personal trainer, actively full time. But if I didn't have a pint of Ben and Jerry's in my freezer, I got a little anxious. I'm not gonna lie. Overall, and back then it was low fat and all this other stuff that I don't even like. I shudder to think about now, but I needed that Ben and Jerry's coffee Heath Bar Crunch in my freezer, or I would start to, it wouldn't feel good. I
Yeah,
was addicted to it. But now, after all these years of not eating, and I don't really eat ice cream at all, because it's not just the fat and sugar, but most ice cream is full of emulsifiers, which just destroy your, anyway, that's a whole nother talk right there. But I don't even want it anymore. So our food habits are just that,
mhm.
habits. So anything that you think you can't live without, you can.
You'll
It's
surprise
just a matter of changing your habit, and it's probably not going to happen tomorrow or even next week or maybe even in 6 months. Sometimes these habits can take a long time, but it is your eating habits are habits, and just like any habit, they can be changed, modified. I hate to say broken, but you can change one habit for another. And once you stop eating that food, it's possible you might look back and say, what did I ever see in that food? I mean, we've all had that relationship, am I right?
you
You look
do.
back and say, what did I see in that person? Oh my gosh. Same with food. You're
Same
like,
with food.
what, what did,
I was wishing I had a beautifully presented chocolate cake in front of me a couple weeks ago. It's something I don't usually eat, and I thought, oh, I'll just have a little piece. I regretted it. Like it wasn't worth it, any of it. I was up in the night. It just wasn't good. And
it's true.
sometimes
It's
I wish I just smelled it, because sometimes that's all I need. Like, oh, it's beautiful to look at and it smells good. I'm good. I'm fine.
Which is not to say, let's be clear, which is not to say you can never eat another piece of chocolate cake
Yeah.
ever again if you decide to change your nutrition habits. Like my brother, his birthday is actually Friday, but we had family dinner and he lives way up in Maine, so I don't see him very often, but we actually got him to come to dinner. And my little 9-year-old granddaughter is now the baker in the house. So she wanted to make her Uncle Bill, her great Uncle Bill, who she never met. She wanted to make him a chocolate cake for his birthday dinner because he had never met her yet. She's
Oh,
9 years old and he had never met her. So it was kind of a big deal for our family to have Uncle Bill there for family dinner. So she made him this for not, she's an amazing little baker already. She made this amazing chocolate cake. And I had a piece. I had a small piece and it was fine. And I know that piece is going to be the last piece of chocolate cake I'll probably eat for quite some time. I enjoyed every bite. I nourished every bite. And I felt okay. It didn't affect me negatively. I think they probably use, well, I don't know, but anyway, it was fine. But even having that, I had that piece of cake. I enjoyed that piece of cake, but it didn't make me want to go back out and start munching on all the chocolate cake
no.
anymore.
And you
So it
did
was just
it.
one moment in time that I decided to enjoy with my family the special chocolate cake that my little granddaughter had made.
I love
So I'm not going to say you don't be afraid of making these changes because I can't imagine never having chocolate cake again because first of all, you may never want the chocolate cake again and be perfectly happy with that choice.
Yep.
Or you could decide, well, today I think I might have that piece of cake and be fine with that choice.
Do it guilt-free, enjoy it, like you said.
Absolutely
And
guilt-free. Don't worry about it. It's
you
just,
end
and
up
that's what I
over
love
worrying
about the
about
real
it.
food plan is you can choose any food you want.
Mm.
And the more you eat real food and get these ultra processed foods away from you, the less you're going to want these foods that don't serve you. You can make whatever. I love the choice that you have with the eat real food plan,
Yeah. And the fact that we are omnivores makes it so fun.
right?
Not stuck
So
mad.
many choices,
What is it? The eucalyptus leaves, koala bears, just that's all they eat. That's the only thing.
right? Yeah, we can eat so many things, and
I'm
it's
not,
true. And
I'm not
again, like we've talked about in previous episodes, every human is unique. So while some people may do, and a lot of it depends on your own personal physiology, a lot of it depends on kinds of microbes that you have. Some people, for whatever reason, whether antibiotic use or foods they eat, and have different kinds of bacteria in their guts, so they don't digest things as well. So everybody's different. So every human, like some people will do better on a predominantly meat or predominantly fat or predominantly vegetables. Everybody needs to find the path that works for them. And again, it's not about, I wouldn't worry about percentage of fat or
right.
percentage of any of these other things. Just eat until you're satisfied. And with real food and mindfulness, you'll be satisfied a lot sooner. Cut
Mm.
out the snacking that we're not designed to snack. We don't need to eat 6 to 8 times a day. We really don't. 1 or 2 times or maybe 3 times a day is max. So you add all these things together and you can eat whatever you want, and eventually the things you want to eat will be the ones that nourish your body. And they will nourish your soul as much as they nourish your body once your body accepts these things. So
Well said.
yay. So yeah, so that's our rant for the day. We hope you enjoyed our conversation about carnivore and keto. We would love to hear any experiences that you have had. If either of these or both of these or neither of these have been successful or a big disaster, we would like to hear all of that. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. If we have more nutrition plans to go through, and we also wanted to address fasting at some point in this season. So we are going to have other things to talk about, but if you have anything in specific that you would like us to talk about, we would love to hear your thoughts or your questions or your concerns. So please drop it in the chat, give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends to subscribe so that we know the more you subscribe and comment, the more content we can give you that you're looking for. So we want to help you get the content that you need. So that's why we're here.
Exactly. Well, this is fun, Dorothy. Thank you. And I'm glad it worked out. You could be outside.
Yes, I was sitting out here waiting to get on with you, Joy, to record. And I was just thinking, because I generally record in my basement. That's kind of my little office gym area. And the idea of just leaving this blue sky and I don't know, it's probably 50 something, 40 something, going into my basement. I was like, Joy, would it be cool to film outside today?
Okay.
So here we are. And look at that sky, people.
So we'll have
Look
to
at it.
watch the trees bud. We'll see it change.
Yes. It's so, yes, and so it worked out. So yay, I'm glad I was able to be outside and you could still hear me okay. So,
Okay, it's a wrap.
all right, thanks for joining us today, everyone, and we will see you next time.